Hi, and welcome to Breakfast with Max. I'm Max, your host, and this is your first meal of today or your first meal after awakening or during awakening. So, I'm very happy to share my life with my light with you. my life, my light. Thank you for accepting this offering. This is an offering of light, and you accept it. So welcome, and I enjoy connecting with you. So I haven't been. I've been away for some time. I was in Cambodia for 2 weeks, and then I came back. And coming back has not been easy. So for the last 2 weeks, but 10 days at least, I wasn't feeling well, and but well, it just went away. It's just that, it's like coming back from Cambodia for me. It's like if you take away a source of energy, and so I find myself in a completely being here disconnected, so that I have to readapt myself being back home, and so it takes some time to get there in a more comfortable feeling of myself. So here I am, and we actually had, what I will say, an amazing time in Cambodia during these 2 weeks. We went to. We spent for the first time at least 10 days in Siem Reap, which is the town that is near Angkor. And Angkor is the ancient capital of the Khmer Empire, and that's where you can go and visit all the main temples, like Angkor Wat or the Baiwan or Peru, and Siem Reap is also a good base to have 1 day visiting 60-70 kilometers around town. You have still temples, still other places that you can visit and have amazing moments and experiences. So we we decided to go 6 or 7 months previous to the trip. So we booked our tickets way before, so that in fact I had a long period of time between the two things, between buying the tickets and actually going to Cambodia. And I realize, and I know, the difficult part in this is that I knew I could have a great time there, a great experience, and everything, But, and this is where things get tricky and difficult, is that when you have... I should explain it this way. Some times ago, I heard in a discussion with Pleiadians, I heard the recording, and there was this woman asking, saying, well, I don't remember if she had to go or she already had. I think she had to go to Paris. And she was asking, she was saying, will I have an amazing experience, or what should I do in order to have an amazing experience during this journey? And the Pleiadian said, well, stop there. Stop wanting to have an amazing experience, because if you want to have an amazing experience, you will not have an amazing experience, because you are expecting to have an amazing experience. You want to have an amazing experience. You are already building in your head your amazing experience, so that when you go there in Paris, you will not have an amazing experience, because anything that will happen during this trip to Paris will never match your experience that you are having in your head. Why? Why that? Because when you build in your head, when you create in your head that great experience that you want to have in a trip that you are not having in this moment, you are already having it before in your head, it's that you are creating what? You are giving yourself the luck, because you are already having your experience, your great experience. So that when you go actually in your trip, you cannot have the same thing. You already had it. So you will have something different. And as you creating the lack, well, you will have the lack of amazing. You already had it in your head. So, what they were saying is that just be there in the moment, in your trip. You go there and you experience your trip when you are there, in the moment. And if you do that, you will see, you will have an amazing experience. And while I was expecting to be able to actually take the plane and go, I also had a Roxy telling me, be careful. Don't overdo it. Don't create your amazing thing before. Go there and have it. Don't have it now. Now is not the moment. When you are there, you will have the moment to have your amazing experience. So, so I've been conscious of this, and to be fair, during all the time that I had to wait, as we're in third dimension, so you have to I couldn't project myself directly in the trip. I had to wait what I've perceived to be 8 months, 7 months. Because that's what being in third dimension means. It means that you have to go the long way, which is the way of time. Even if time doesn't exist, well, you give yourself the memory of waiting that time before being able to have your experience, or before anything happens. You have to wait the long way so that it happens. We are slow, but that's what we appear to be. It's the illusion of time. But the 7 months I had to wait to go to this trip, if the way they feel, the way that time was experienced, it's not equal to the 7 months that I have experienced in order moments in my timeline. Why? Because time doesn't exist. Therefore, 7 months are not 7 months. But, okay, this is something else. Back to the trip. So, I had this in my head all along. And let's say that I was not really thinking about this during the 7 months. I just knew that I don't have to create the trip before it happened, so I was not doing it. And I knew that this trip could be amazing, that things could happen, but I knew I didn't need to go there at any moment before. Just wait to go, and then you are in the moment there, and that's when you experience things. So I have to admit that in the beginning, when I've arrived there, it was challenging not to think about overthinking. I was overthinking in the beginning about not overdoing it or over expecting, and just be there in the moment, experiencing the moment as a way to have your creation, your creational activity that you do all the time in creating your moment. So I in order to allow that process of creation to happen, let's say naturally, without overdoing it, and in that allowing myself to have the magic of the amazing happening. So I've probably overthought about it in the beginning, but I was very quickly able to let that go and be in the moment, so that I could experience whatever was happening in the moment without trying to create it, because that's the thing. I had accepted the extraordinary, or I had accepted the trip, and I had accepted whatever was going to happen in the trip. Let's say this like that. Now, in the moment when I was there, there is the creation, letting the creation take care of itself, so letting things happen. And there is another way to go for it, and that is the wanting something to happen, or the wanting the creation of something. And that failed. That doesn't go the way you wish to go, because you create what? And that's what I was saying before. You create a lack of that something that you so desperately want to happen. And so it doesn't happen, because by creating the lack, you put yourself in a situation, in a moment of lack. Something is missing. Something that you so desperately want is missing. And so it's missing. You cannot find something, you cannot have in your creation something that is missing. Because you give the message to your whole self, to the universe, to your whole self, that is missing. And so your creational activity, your creator, you the creator, you create exactly that reality where that something is missing. Does it make sense? I hope. I'm trying to say it as I understand it, obviously. I still am a filter, so I'm filtering what the information I received. So, but that's basically what happens. You give to the universe, so let's say to your whole self, a message of lack. Let me see. I want this. This. But I don't have it. I don't have it. And I want it. One way to go is to say, I accept this. I accept this in my reality. And then you let it come. You know that that can come in your reality, you accept it, and at some moment on your path, you will have it. Now, that's one way to go. You accept it, and then you stop there. You have accepted to be in your reality at some moment. The other way is to say, I don't have this, I want it. I so desperately want it. Why isn't it here? I want it to be here. I think I deserve it. I think I want it. Let me go. Oh, why this and that? I don't have enough money. Unfortunately, I don't have enough money to have this in my reality. Okay. I have just created what? The lack. This is not in my reality because I don't have the money to have this in my reality. So what happens is that it's not in my reality. I have a lack of money, a lack of that. And that's exactly what I have in my reality, is that is not in my reality and will not be in my reality because I have communicated to my whole self a lack. It's expensive? It's expensive? Yes. Do I have now the money to have it? No. But if I accept that no matter what, at some point, that will be my reality, it will. Because I don't put the condition of money in that creation. But if I put the condition of money in my creation, saying I have the lack of money, I want it to be my reality, but I have the lack of money, I have the lack of anything else in my reality, so that cannot be my reality because that lack is there now and will always be there. If that's what I communicate, that's what I will have. That becomes my reality. Okay? So that doesn't work for just, that is not just what happens or what works for physical thing, for material thing, for phones, for shoes, for clothes, or for whatever. It works for everything in your reality. You create the lack, you will have lack. So back to my trip. What does that mean? It means that I was in that trip with, let's say, the opportunity, as everyone has in their trips. In your journey of vocation or work or recreational, or you have the building of the expectation of having experiences that are amazing, that are out of your everyday life, blah, 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 blah. So, if you create a reality where you accept to have an extraordinary experience, and then you go and you have your extraordinary experiences because you don't overthink it, you just wait to be there in order to experience it, because you have to experience it in the moment, not before, not after, in the moment. You can have it. You can find it. You create it. Why? Because you did not communicate to your whole self a lack, so that you have access to that creation that is magic, that is great, that is whatever. And it isn't whatever, because it's not magic, it's not great, it's just the moment. It's just the experience in the moment. Then you can define it whatever you want it, but that's your ego that has to put a name on everything. And the other way is that you create the lack so that you have lack. You create a missing of something. So that is missing. So in my journey, in my trip, that means that I went there, and if, for saying, I don't know, if I had this idea that I wanted absolutely, an example that I gave, it was seeing flying monkey, or flying donkeys, donkey, I used the donkey. But at the same time, I create the lack, because I say, well, donkey don't have wings, so I cannot see. How can I see a donkey flying anywhere? You see? So I have this idea of wanting to have a amazing experience, and my idea of an amazing experience is a donkey flying. But donkeys don't have wings, do they? While in my idea of reality, they don't. So you see, I'm creating a lack. So I will not see a donkey flying. But if I take away this lack from my imagination, from my idea, from my creation, I just go there with no expectation of seeing any donkey flying, but with an open mind that a donkey can fly, and I can assure you, a donkey can fly. It can. Why? It's my creation, it's my domain, it's my reign, it's my will, it's my creation. I'm God and I am limitless. And if I decide that a donkey can fly in my reality, I don't care what you think. I don't give a shit about you and your creation and your limits that you put on yourself. In my creation, I don't have those limits. Therefore, donkeys can fly. That's all. And then you can give to yourself any limit you want. And I'm giving myself, I'm not there yet. I mean, we all give to ourselves limits. But the reality is that as creators and as God, we have no limits. And for God's sake, you look at the sky at night, look at all the stars that you see in the sky, look at the sun, look at the moon, look just outside of your window. It's your creation. You are creating those things in the moment. So your creation is limitless. But it's easy, it's easy to create the sun, it's easy to create the moon, it's easy to create all the stars in the sky during the night, or while they are there during the day too. It's easy. It's effortless, because you know that they are there. And you accept that as being an established fact, so you don't have any limits in creating those things. But you have been told, and you live in a reality where you have been told, donkey don't have wings, they cannot fly. So you perceive a donkey fly as magic, as something out of this world. Well, that's what you have. You don't have donkeys flying. And monkeys could be a very good example related to Oz. To the magician of Oz, Oz, in the sense that in the movie and in the book as well, you have flying monkeys, which is perceived to have to be in a fantasy world, because we don't have those here, but there it's possible because it's fantasy. That was not unintended mistake, or it was not a mistake. Yeah. So it's easier to accept it in a fantasy movie or a fantasy book to have a monkey flying, but when it comes to your reality, you refuse it because you have been told they don't have wings. And I'm telling you, well, yeah, in your established way of thinking, they don't. But in your limitless godness and creation, they can have them if you decide in your creation to have them flying. And in their reality, they could have. It's the difference between limiting yourself, accepting a limitation that don't come from you. This limitation comes from the outside. You have been told that you are limitful. But I'm telling you, and I'm not telling you actually, but in reality, you have no limits. So back to the trip, and my example, I didn't see any donkey flying, and I wasn't there to see any donkey flying. I didn't think about any donkey fly. But the idea here is to give you this perspective of saying, this is your expectation, and if you build everything on this expectation, you are giving a idea or a impression, or you are communicating a lack. And as long as you communicate a lack of anything, that lack is what you get. What you put out is what you get. It's the law of the universe. And I think I'm coming back to that later. So remember, what you put out, it's what you get. You put out luck, well, luck is what you get. That's always like that. So when I've been able, and very quickly I've been able, to put myself in a situation where I was not thinking about that, but I was living, experiencing the moment, well, I've been in the moment, and that's what I have had, the moment, the experience. I didn't have luck because I was not in communicating luck. I was just in the moment experiencing my trip, experiencing my being in the temples, my being in Angkor Wat, my being in visiting Dubai, one, my visiting of the floating villages on the Tonle Sap, my being in the jungle, my being and having absolutely amazing moments. Free of any luck, free of anything, just being in the moment. And so I was able to experience, just to experience. And realizing that happened was just amazing. But I cannot define it as amazing. I'm telling you now, here and now, I'm telling, well, that was amazing. Yes, but it wasn't. And it was. But it was because it wasn't. Because I'm not communicating any luck or anything else. I'm just communicating an experience. And that's all. End of story. But for that being like that, I am able to say, free of anything, it was great. And that is coming back to what the Pleiadian said in that recording and what Roxy told me during one of our sessions, being able to go somewhere in your journey, in that somewhere, and just being there, not expecting, and so not communicating a lack of anything, and just communicating the moment, just being there. And that's all the communication you have to have with yourself. It's to be there. And that's how creation works. You are there, experiencing the moment, communicating the moment with yourself, in fact, because all is that. It's that and nothing else. You in the moment. No lack of anything. And at some point, you will realize your abundance. Because you live in a limitless world or creation. There are no limit in what you can create, how, whatever. And when you are able to be there, not wanting to be there, not expecting to be there, but just to be there in the moment in your abundance, that's what you will experience. But you are already experiencing it. But you are limiting it because you are communicating what? The lack. You're not thinking. You're not communicating the abundance that you have, all that you have, that you already have. What you are communicating is the fact that you are lacking. What is your thinking? You are thinking, I don't have enough money. Go and check in your wallet. Go check, look around. Where is the missing? Really? You lack of money? You don't have enough money? Really? Right here, right now. Right here, now. Now! Are you missing any money that you need to spend, to use, or anything? No. You are watching me. We are communicating. We are changing light. You and I, we are coming together here and now. And I can tell you, here and now, in this moment, you have all the money you need, you are not spending that money. You are not in the need of that money that you think you don't have, because you are not needing it. So in this moment, you have everything you ever needed. But if your communication to yourself is, I don't have enough money, that's what you will get. Not enough money. You will get lack of money. Missing of money. And so I come back to the law of the universe, as I said before. What you put out is what you get. But remember very careful, what are the laws of the universe? Number one, you exist. Number two, here and now. So you exist here and now. Number three, what you put out is what you get. So what it's as I have been saying, if you put out the missing, the lack of something, that's what you get. So in your moment, you exist in this moment, which means that there is no past, no future, there is just here and now. The moment is now. You exist in this now, in this moment. And in this moment, what you put out is what you get. So if you communicate lack, that's what you get in your moment. And this moment, your existence in the here and now, in the creation of your moment, what you put out is what you get. All of this is always in the all is one and the one is all. So it's always, always, always in the connection. You are never disconnected from the all. So you are never disconnected from yourself, and you are never disconnected from the all. And the fifth law, change is the only constant in the universe. It means that you exist here and now. What you put out, it's what you get. The all is one and the one is all. In this moment, in the moment you exist, in the moment you experience your moment, in the allness of the moment, of the creation, that's what you experience. Sorry, that was out of camera. So, you see what I mean? So, in the moment, that's what you get. But change, it's the only constant in the universe, except for the first four laws. So you have your moment. In that moment, that's what you get, that's what you have. What you put out in that moment is what you get. That's the moment. But outside of that moment, change is the only constant. It's the only reality outside of your moment, which means that your past, your future is never fixed. It changes. So in the next moment, you are different. You are someone else. You are you, but not the same as in the moment before. You change. Change is the only constant in the universe. But in the moment, that's your moment. You exist in that moment as you. And in the next moment, it's still you, but it's different. You change. And if all on top of this, if you understand how creation is a point of view, your point of view, and what point of view you take, it's what creates your moment. Your choice. You choose. Lack is a choice. You choose to have a lack of something. It's a choice. It's not wrong, it's not good or wrong or whatever, it's your choice. Remember, everything in the universe is correct. Everything that happens because it has to happen. Consent is always given to anything happening. Nothing can happen in the universe without consent. To come to you, nothing can happen to you without your consent. Now, define consent. Consent is not what you give you as ego here now. That's not consent. I mean, you can oppose something to happen, but it happens anyway. It means that you gave your consent anyway. Yeah, but what I mean by that is that your consent is not given by you, ego, or here now. I mean, as a third-dimensional being, your consent is given. Can be given, and 90% of the time, that's what happens. Your whole self, or your higher self, if you want, but higher as not to be understood as higher in higher. It has to be understood as higher in vibration or in situation. So higher self is 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional you that constitute your whole self and therefore has a saying in your consent. And that your 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional you gives consent. Because that's your creation. But you are that self. Remember, you don't have separation. You are always with your whole self. And therefore your consent doesn't need to be given verbally by you in their dimension. It can be given by you in other dimensions. And it counts, and that's how co-creation happens. It's that not verbally, but in whatever happens in those dimensions, it is decided to come together and create whatever there is to be created. So consent is something that is really, let's say, outside of our complete understanding. In the complexity of how co-creation happens. But in that, it means that everything in the universe happens because it has to happen. So nothing is wrong. Wrong doesn't exist in the universe. And you are never late, you are never early, you are always in the moment when it has to happen. So the concept of making a mistake, you don't make mistakes. Because it happens because it has to happen. And you will say, well, and free will, what about free will? Well, you have your free will, but your free will is in the acceptance of what can happen to you, or you accept it. And your free will is also in the fact that you can decide to do it or not to do it. And whatever action you take in the moment, even if it's not what may have facilitated what your whole self is expecting to happen for you, the fact that you choose another way, well, your whole self will adapt itself to your decision. So you see, that shows you how everything that happens to you, it's chosen by you, and it's absolutely correct in that point, in that way. And obviously that implies everything, but I'm not going into that right now. So that what I wanted to come to right now to end this is that, remember not to judge yourself, not to be hard on yourself, not to come back with the regrets to whatever you've done, whatever happened. Just love yourself. Just accept you, yourself, your action, the whole of you, with love, unconditional love. If there is any unconditional that you have to have, it's unconditional love for yourself. And that is all you need, actually. Love yourself unconditionally. Love your light. Love you. Because you are amazing. You are fantastic. And you have a fantastic light. Believe it. Be it. Feel it. Because that's what you really are. Light. And you are amazing. And that cannot be stated or repeated enough, because we have not been taught it. We have been told to look outside of ourselves for anything, that help will come from the outside, that this line, I've always counted on the kindness of strangers. No. There is no such thing. It's your creation, so the kindness comes from you. You have to be kind with yourself. You have to love yourself. Because any kindness that will come to you, it's because you put it out. What you put out, it's what you get. Put out the love you have for yourself, that unconditional love that you have for yourself, and that's what you will get. Love, unconditional love, in any form, and I mean in the wall of it. Really, truly. So, I wanted to finish this with that. So I thank you for coming and sharing this moment with me, sharing your life, accepting my life and sharing your life with me, and experiencing this moment together. And I look forward to do this again. And until then, I wish you all the love for yourself. In the name and love, in the love of the one Creator. Thank you.